I'm Joanna Garzilli, award-winning author and life coach. Welcome to the Looking Glass podcast. I said I was going to surprise and shock myself as I self-reflect, and I'm about to do that again. And I don't want to, but I know I need to become a better person, because the parts of myself that I share here with you, they feel embarrassing, shameful. I feel ugly. I feel scared for saying the things that I feel at times and that I think. But I know the only way to grow, to become better, is to flush out those inner demons so that I can be better. And in being better, that I can be more helpful, that I can shine without apology. I have published 3 books, and the first book I wrote ended up being the 3rd book I published. It's called Scarlett's Confession, Tales of a British Psychic, and I fictionalized it, but it's true. I mean, most people who write, a lot of the time they're taking from their life, not in everything. Or a book that comes to mind is Fahrenheit 451, and the idea is that if the world were to be a certain way, or something happened in it, and you went to the extreme in that, what would it be? And that ended up being Fahrenheit 451. But just bringing it back here to Scarlett's Confession, the reason I'm saying this, or it's coming up for me, is because what I'm doing here, reflecting with you, is I am being totally unfiltered. I'm not a character in a book. I'm not a character, a role on a TV show. This is me speaking right as things happen, unedited. And I'm not holding back. Now, at times I may decide when I'm going to show up with something, because I want to make sure that whatever I bring forth of myself, that there's a positive outcome from it. I always like this thought that Spirit won't ever give you anything in your life that you're not ready to face, to handle. And so I feel that I've learned to trust over the years, to trust my intuition. It's much easier for me to be intuitive for other people, because then my own emotions don't get in the way at all. And I can see very, very clearly. But when it comes to myself, when I do focus on being aligned, and I move past the discomfort and the fear and the embarrassment and the shame of what will you think of me, then I trust whatever image comes forth in my mind's eye, whatever memory, whatever thought, and then I just go with that. I allow myself to be in that moment, and that is where I believe the blessings, the healing, the breakthrough occurs. And that then when we go out into the world to connect with another person or to experience something, that there is a depth and a richness and a sweetness to it. And so with this, where I'm at now, I feel the reason I suppose Scarlett's Confession came to mind was because at the time I was doing this psychic TV show, and it was before I met my husband, and I just went through this really wild phase before then settling down into my marriage, which we're coming up on 17 years of marriage, which that's a massive achievement for me. And I feel really grateful to have my husband Nick by my side. Really grateful. By the time that you listen to this, I'm going to be in a different place in my life, and from my work, my day to day. And part of me wants to just show up here when I've just got to win, sort of like on social media. Like, oh, let me go and just share this really super wonderful, positive thing and only share a good picture of myself. And I think with something like Instagram, I'm not going to go and put up some when I look rubbish at a certain time of day, or try and type something on LinkedIn that's incoherent. That doesn't make sense. So I feel like that's the beauty of getting to connect together through a podcast, is that it can be raw and real, and there's just a way to be with each other that's different from scrolling online, or whatever that capacity looks like. I feel lost right now, and yet I know exactly where I am and who I am. When I look in the mirror, I see a beautiful soul. I also have the story of the swan and the ugly duckling. In my job, I feel like a little cygnet, and I look at the little ducklings and then the big ducks, and I just say, oh, I'm different. I don't belong. I am so unattractive. And what I mean by that as well, it's not so much in looks, but I'm not smart. I'm not intellectual in the way that I would need to be smart, that I would need to be clever. And so anything that I bring forth, when I get enthusiastic, excited, passionate, gets shot down or dismissed. And I hate that feeling. I hate feeling that way. I don't like who I have become in the job that I am in, because I am making myself smaller and smaller and smaller. I could go and blame the job. I could blame my bosses and say, oh, they don't see me, they don't respect me, they don't appreciate me, they don't honor me. But that would be a total lack of responsibility. I chose the experience that I chose. I have to have the courage to be able to end that chapter in my life book, and be able to move on instead of carrying resentment. And I think that's one of the main reasons why it is a great benefit to reflect. When you self-reflect, suddenly you can see and have an appreciation and compassion for someone else. I don't know about you, but there's been times when I felt so angry or frustrated. Why can't that person see things my way? Why don't they understand? And then when I have let go, when I talked before about letting go of the rope, when I've let go and I have allowed myself to fall, it doesn't matter, because then I'm not in that thinking, I'm not in that emotion, I'm not in that environment anymore. And I have a different perspective. I have a new understanding. And from that, I feel my spirit is animated. I am lifted up to a new state of consciousness. And then sometimes there's this vacuum, there's this in-between of nothingness. And that I've learned from my experiences when one has to trust. And then out of nowhere, when one least expects it, new energy, new life, new opportunities, new experiences, new friends, new relationships come into one's life. And hopefully we learn from the past experiences so that we then make good, healthy choices that are a win-win moving forward. I'm Joanna Garzilli. Thank you for reflecting with me, and I very much look forward to connecting with you next time. If you enjoyed the episode, please subscribe and share this podcast, and sign up for updates at joannagarzilli.com or looking-glass.me.